Robbie Nowinski, founder, CEO, and registered dietitian of E+ROSE Wellness Company. Welcome to the Fieldswell Podcast.
Hey, Lauren, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to be here and to chat with you today.
It's a pleasure. We're going to get all into nutrition
I love
and
it.
the importance of prioritizing our health so we can all live our best lives. And for our listeners, well, I'm not a nutritionist. I did study as a health and wellness coach at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and I loved that course, and it really taught me how to take care of myself from the inside out. And I have Robbie here, who is a registered dietitian, and I can't wait to hear what we get into and provide some value for you in regard to how we can nourish ourselves and hear more about what Robbie has been working on.
I can't wait.
So, Robbie, bring us into your world. What inspired you to transition from working in healthcare as a registered dietitian to founding E+ROSE?
Yeah. So when I was working in healthcare, I originally started in Southern California, and I was in pretty much every single hospital from Santa Barbara down through San Diego, um, and in and out of the hospital every single day. And when you're going into the hospital every day, you start to notice some trends, and you see that a lot of people that are there, if they would have made some dietary changes, a, a little prior, they wouldn't have to be there. And so, over time, I just really wanted to do something on the preventative side of nutrition. So, you know, um, when you're working in hospitals and you don't get a ton of time with the people as well, and so it's really challenging to try to make these changes on the back end after somebody's already been sick. Um, and so that got me to start to thinking about what can I do to really um, help people not go into the hospital in the first place.
Yeah.
And was in Southern California. There's obviously a lot of places that you can go there to eat healthy. I would go to them all the time. And then had the opportunity to move to New York City and was doing the same thing there. And, you know, again, there were places that, where you had the opportunity to go and get healthy food that was quick and easy. Um, and the vibe with the places in New York was a little bit different than the places in Southern California, but pretty similar. And I grew up in Michigan, where there was really nothing like that.
Yeah.
And my older brother at the time was living in Tennessee, and I would come to Nashville and to visit him. And there's absolutely nothing like that in
Mhm.
Nashville. And so I was reading a book at a cafe in New York City, and it was the memoir "Pour Your Heart Into It" by Howard Schultz. About his time at Starbucks, and that really just got me to thinking, why is there not a place like Starbucks that is healthy, that is on every corner in America, that people can
Yeah.
really have quick, easy, healthy food. And
Mhm.
so that was kind of the beginning of E+ROSE and the development of it. And then, over time, just decided to take the leap and move to Nashville and open up our first location. And that was 10 years ago.
Wow. And how many stores do you have now?
We have 8 now.
8.
We just opened our first location outside of Nashville in Atlanta this past week, and
Yeah.
we're continuing to grow. So it's very exciting.
So amazing. And I love this idea of like, how can I help people so they don't end up in the hospital when that could have been prevented? And for our listeners, like, you can start eating healthy now so you're not the one who ends up in the hospital later on wishing they had taken better care of themselves.
Yeah, a lot of times you hear with eating healthy that it's expensive. It's not the most convenient thing. It's harder to do, and
Mm.
it's. I believe that it is truly an investment in yourself and your long term state of being, and
Yeah.
it might be a little more expensive on the front end, but it's a lot less expensive on the back end. And every day when you're feeling better, when you have more vitality, like it it just makes that investment so worth it.
Yeah. And another thing I want to touch on is I was did a business internship over a summer in London, and I worked for Jamie Oliver's Food for Schools program. And what he was trying to do is he was trying to put gardens that grew fresh produce in the schools so the children could learn from a young age what it really meant to eat and nourish their bodies as opposed to eating these school lunches that are just junk. And so many of us have grown up with no information or knowledge on what we really should be eating.
Yeah, that's incredible. Jamie Oliver's, I mean, absolutely phenomenal. It's such a cool program. When I was a kid growing up in the late '80s, early '90s, like we we had no idea. We were just eating, so much junk. And the biggest thing that I tell people today is like, just read the labels.
Yes.
Everything with when you're walking the grocery aisles, it's so simple. Um, but just read the labels. Even in a jar of peanut butter, there can be so many things that you think you're just getting peanuts, but you're taking a large dose of seed oils and sugar, and who knows what else.
Mhm. All the additives. I like to say if you don't know how to pronounce the ingredient, your body probably doesn't know how to digest it either.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, our bodies are, been around for a very, very long time, and they're very used to
Mhm.
natural foods, and we have introduced just a plethora of chemicals over
Mhm.
the last 50 years, and it's wreaking havoc on our bodies, on our guts, and
Yeah.
on our livelihoods. So
Thankfully, I feel like we're waking up. Are you familiar with this app called Yuka?
I have not heard of that. No.
Okay, so I just downloaded it. You can scan a label on any box or product in the grocery store, and it'll tell you whether it gives it a rating out of 100 in regard
Really?
to the nutrition and health benefits, whether you should eat it or not. And so I've become obsessed with scanning everything that I buy because you'd be so shocked. Like a certain box of eggs could get a 90 or 95% rating, and then another one could get a 60.
That's
So
incredible.
pay attention to what you're buying in the stores. Check those labels.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so were you always a healthy eater, or did nutrition develop over time?
I was not. I grew up in the Midwest, and it was, meat, potatoes,
Mm,
and junk food. Really, my mom would always make us a fantastic dinner every night. But in between then, it was kind of fend for yourself, and it really wasn't the best food. And I was always an athlete growing up. Played very competitive hockey. Um, and when I got to college, really, I went to school for nutrition. It seemed like something that I just really wanted to learn more about. And when I got to school and started taking the courses and really learning more, I really started to change my diet and to just pay more attention to what I was putting into my body. And
mhm.
one basic example that I could give is I drank a ton of milk growing up, and um, and when I got to school, I had a recommendation of somebody to like try and stop drinking milk and see what it does to your body. And within a week, my skin cleared up entirely. Like
Wow.
acne went away 100%, and
Mhm.
just started to feel a lot better. So just one example of paying attention to what you're eating. And
Yeah, and I think what's important to note here is that it's so bio-individual. You have to find what works for you, like dairy, you may be fine having dairy, but then someone else, they may have all these reactions like skin rashes or acne or what have you, but it's totally a case-by-case basis, so long as we're talking about foods here that are whole food products.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like dairy is a perfect example where for some people it can be
Mm,
really healthy for them. For others, they're going to have a really bad reaction to it. Everybody is so different. Everybody's body is so different. How they digest foods is so different. And I think that's just so important for people to try and discover what is important, what
mhm.
works for them
Yeah.
individually.
Yeah, it can be like a trial and error process, like an elimination diet.
Yes. Yeah.
So you had this idea, like, okay, so for example, we have these Starbucks all around us, we have these fast food, McDonald's all around us. Why aren't there more healthy food options that individuals can go to? You had this idea. How long between the idea and you actually making it a reality?
Yeah. I think the basis for the idea was probably started in college when I was, we had a project that we had to do as a senior, and we developed a concept at that time to kind of present about, and I think it was really the initial stages for it. So I think that was kind of in my subconscious, which would have been 7 years before the actual original concept came out.
Yeah.
I would say from the time I really decided to do it and sat down and dove into it, it was about 18 months
Mhm.
before the doors opened of the first location. And the first location was entirely different than what we are today. I think we just continue
Yeah.
to adapt and try to be better with everything that we offer every single
Mm.
day. And it's now been a decade
Wow.
of trying different things and really trying to hone who we are and what we offer, and trying to constantly stay on top of what the latest information is telling us.
Yeah. So many people think, for example, say they have a business idea, they think they have to have like every certain step and the whole plan figured out. And that's like, you just need to start and figure out how to take that first step, because then you're going to get more information on how to take the next step. And just like you've said, you've reiterated so many times, and it continues to grow and evolve, and you face new challenges and you overcome them, and then you refine and you perfect, and you just keep going on that journey.
Yeah, taking the first step is, I would say, it's the hardest, but it's the one that you just have to take. And I always tell people, think of what the absolute worst case scenario is, and like, what if it doesn't go right, if you fail, like what is the absolute worst thing that could happen. And for me at the time, I was like, well, maybe I'll have to go and live with my parents for a little while until I can find another job and do something else. And I was like, at the
Right.
end of the day, that's not ideal. I don't want to do that. I
Mm.
haven't lived with my parents since I was 18 years old. And but that for me was the worst case scenario. And yeah, I would have been out of a lot of money and I would have failed, but there would have been tremendous learnings in that. And um, once you take that first step and you start it and you do it and you just dive in and give it everything that you have, um, it's then you can reiterate and change along the way. And what you are on day one is not what you're going to be 10 years later.
Yeah, so true. So tell us more about Ian Rose. Set the stage. We're walking into one of your locations. What can we plan to expect and like experience when we visit you in person?
Yeah, a big thing for us with Ian Rose is when you walk in those doors, we want you to immediately just feel like you have stepped into the right place. We want you to feel comfortable first and foremost. We don't want you to be intimidated. We don't want you to, we get all walks of life into our locations, and we want people to come in and feel like they can talk to us and ask questions and not be intimidated, like, oh, I don't know how to pronounce spirulina or whatever it might be. But a lot of plants, a lot of neutral colors, very earth toned, and very uplifting team members. Smiles and guiding people through the menu and through our offerings. A very just inspiring place to be.
Mm. Yeah, I think design of an environment, like a welcoming environment where people want to spend their time, is really important.
Yeah, yeah. We want people when they walk in and just say, "Wow, this place is beautiful," and
Yeah,
and then the food that they are served
right.
is also very beautiful and very very nurturing for them, and
Yeah.
to walk out just feeling more beautiful themselves.
Mm. So, how did you develop the recipes for Ian Rose? I know the smoothies look incredible. Tell us a bit more about what's on the menu.
Yeah, there's a lot on the menu. So we have smoothies, smoothie bowls. We have toasts, from fig toast to avocado toast. A lot of different wraps and salads. It's a plant forward menu,
Mm.
so pretty much everything is plant based. Um, we make all of our almond milks in house. We have coffee that we make our own cashew milk for. Um, we have no seed oils in house whatsoever. Everything is very whole food, plant based. Um, and the menu was really developed. I believe that when you're eating healthy, it's really important to also try and get a wide variety of nutrients and a wide variety of foods. And so, we try to design every menu item to be a bit different than the others so that when you come in and you get one thing one day and you get another thing the next day, you're really covering a lot of micronutrient bases with that.
Yeah. And I think there's an important myth that we need to debunk right now is that people often think eating healthy doesn't taste good.
Yeah, that's and it's a huge myth. I think that eating healthy tastes the best. And we've put together recipes that it's very healthy for you, but also it tastes absolutely incredible. Um, you know, I eat there multiple times a day. My family eats there multiple times a day. It's a place that you've when you go there and you try it, you want to come back and again
Yeah.
and again. Yeah,
Amazing. Well, I can't wait to visit.
we'd love to have you.
Um, yeah. And when you think of yourself and your flashback, like 10, 15 years, when you were cooking recipes for yourself or making smoothies at home, do you ever envision that this would one day be your reality?
I really didn't. I absolutely did not. I never worked in a restaurant growing up. I was never a waiter. I was never, a chef by any
Yeah.
stretch of the imagination. I just really had this vision that there needs to be a place like we are on every corner. And just through my educational background and through my experiences going to different places, it was just like I really think that I can do this. And
Mm.
obviously it's been a ton of experimentation, a lot of mistakes along the way, certainly,
Yeah.
just things that didn't go as planned. And but just constantly understanding that, hey, we can improve tomorrow. And continuing to not be scared to take that risk and put stuff
Mhm.
out there.
Mhm. And as a registered dietitian, what does a day in the life look like? Say, give us like your example breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or and your fitness routine, what that your wellness routine looks like for the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I wake up pretty early every day, so I have three young daughters. So I try to get up before they do.
Mm.
I have a 4-year-old, a 2.5-year-old, and a 6-month-old.
Oh
So,
my gosh, 3
so
little girls.
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's so precious. But um, so sometimes the nights are very long, and it's hard to get up in the morning. But getting up early and having I have a glass of we call it green drink at our house. It's a mixture of different grasses from Amazing Grass that I've personally been drinking every day for like the past 15 years. Just I kind of take it as a multivitamin, and that's
Okay.
the first thing that I have on an empty stomach. And from there, I'll go and work out, or go for a walk, or try and get some early morning sunlight. Um, and I typically don't eat necessarily right away in the mornings.
Mhm.
I try to space out my eating, through intermittent fasting. I've found that has worked really well for me. Is that what will work well for everybody? Absolutely, I don't think so. But for me, my first meal of the day usually is around like 10 a.m., and I'll usually have a smoothie.
Mhm.
For the last month, I've been having like the same smoothie with, it's got bananas and blueberries and dates and
Mhm.
peanut butter and almond butter and some collagen and creatine in it. And it's really, really delicious. But it also really helps with muscle recovery and strength. And, there's loads of antioxidants in it. And, so that's been my go to.
Yeah.
For lunch, I may have one of our avocado toasts or a wrap or a salad that we have. Um, and then for dinner, usually, we'll have a lean protein or, sweet potatoes are definitely a staple at our house with
Mhm.
definitely a bunch of veggies.
Love a sweet potato. And I'm curious how you have implemented this like healthy living and eating lifestyle, introducing it to the younger generations with 3 young girls at home.
Yeah, that's it's been a challenge at times, but at the same time, we don't really have any junk in our house, and so
Yeah.
they. I think that is the biggest thing is to just make sure that your shelves are stocked with really good stuff, and
Mhm.
then the kids will be hungry at some point, and
Yeah.
they will eat what's there. If you have a bunch of snacks in your house that aren't good for them, like that's what they're going to be drawn to. It's stuff is made to be addicting, and it if they walk in the pantry and they see it on the shelf, like that's what they're going to go for. So, and I think it's really important to sit and eat with them as well.
Mm.
Like if they don't see us eating or they don't see us eating what we're serving them, then they don't get that affirmation that hey, this is
Yeah.
good for you and you need
Mhm.
to be eating this. And so I think that's really important.
Mhm.
My girls they'll come into the stores with me and they'll see what we're doing and see what we're offering, and
Mhm.
so that part makes it a bit easier. But
Yeah. So helpful with the environment that you surround yourself by and create for yourself. We were talking, I just got back from Brian Johnson's Don't Die Summit. He's the most measured human on this planet. And
yeah.
I got home and there I was with my Yuka app scanning all the food in my pantry. And I really like salty. Like I'm not a big sweets person, but my like cheat snack is like a tortilla chip. And I had found these that I loved called late July. They were at Whole Foods, so I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
maybe they're like I can eat them." And then I scanned them, and they got a 35 out of 100. I put
Oh
all
no.
the chips in the trash can, and I've definitely gone looking for them, but they're not here. And so I eat a healthier alternative. So pay attention to what is in your kitchen. And on Sundays, I love to go to the farmers market and get fresh produce for the week because you really will eat and snack on what you have in the house.
Yeah, that is just so incredibly true. And Brian Johnson, what he's doing is absolutely mesmerizing.
Yeah.
I think he's really bringing a lot of attention to how what you eat really has an impact on your aging process and
Mhm.
um, and your overall cognitive function. And it's really cool what he's doing.
It is. And to like simplify it, the 3 to 4 main categories he talked about at the conference were number 1, sleep, that our life needs to be built around our sleep. That should be the most important thing because we will make healthier eating choices, we will feel better and go work out, we will, be more present in our relationships if we have had a good night's sleep. So that needs to be number 1, a consistent, structured sleeping schedule and routine.
I couldn't agree more. I would also say that as a parent of 3 young kids, it's one of those things that it's incredibly challenging to
Yeah.
make happen. And what I would tell people that are in my shoes is you know you also can't stress about it. You can't stress like, hey, I didn't get the sleep that I
Mm,
needed last night, and to like dwell on it and to let it carry on into your day. Because I think that the more that you are focused on mistakes that may have happened or that you may have made, just
mm.
that negative feedback loop can really actually cause way more damage than if you're just like, all right, I didn't get a good night's sleep last night,
Yeah,
but I can take one step forward today, doing something else to help me to feel a bit better, whether that's
yeah,
getting outside and going for a walk, or
yes.
lifting a couple weights, or
Mhm.
having a
Yeah.
healthier meal.
Yeah, his top 3 were sleep, movement. He said, "Move your body every day, even if it's just you have 5 minutes to go on a walk, get that movement in." And then the 3rd, of course, nutrition.
Yes.
And then the 4th, community surround I asked him one question. I said, "What's the biggest change that's or the biggest, thing that's preventing people from taking better care of themselves?" And he said, "Their friends." He said, "If their friends start working out, their friends start eating healthier, their friends start prioritizing their sleep, they're gonna do it too." And I was like, "Wow."
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. You are kind of who you surround yourself with,
Mhm.
and there's kind of an old saying that you can kind of tell a lot by a person by the 5 people that they spend
Yeah.
most of their time with, right? And the more that you surround yourself with like-minded people, that are taking care of themselves and
Mhm.
worried about their health and wellness, the more that that's going to rub off on you. So
Yeah. It goes back to the environment, the people you surround yourself with, the food you surround yourself with. Pay attention to what's going on around you.
Yeah.
Ravi, as we begin to wrap up, for our listeners who maybe want to start eating healthier, want to start taking better care of themselves, but they don't know where to start, what's one thing you recommend to them?
Yeah. For people, they can view it as this huge, just overwhelming thing that they don't know where to begin. And it's like, just take one step forward. If it's one meal a week where you're like, on Fridays, I'm going to make myself a healthy meal. And the rest of the week, just don't even stress about it. And then just make that one healthy meal a
Mhm,
week. And, from there, slowly build on it. I think, a big part of the issue is that people, they start to eat healthier, then they make a mistake, and then they beat themselves up over it.
mhm,
And it just creates this negative feedback loop to where, they aren't able to continue on that good habit. And I think, if you understand that you're going to make mistakes along the way, but just try to designate at least one day a week to have one meal that's
mhm.
healthy for you. Start there, and then slowly build on it.
Yeah.
But my
A
number one piece of advice would be to read labels and eat real whole
mm.
foods.
And here is a little tip for you to, like, pay attention to. What you eat that goes into your gut and your actual brain and mind are connected. So there are messengers from the food that goes into your gut that go to your brain that are gonna affect your mood.
Yes, yes, there
S
is,
so
and
if
your
that's
gut,
not
it's your
initiative
third.
enough,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you have realistically a second brain within your
Mm,
gut, and it really, you know, every single day you're eating things and it's processing that, and it's
mm,
communicating to the rest of your body. And you're when you're eating unhealthy foods, you're really sending a message to your body that uh, you know, you kind of don't care. And I think the more that you start to eat healthier foods, the less that the unhealthy foods become, they become less and less appealing to you. So,
yeah,
once you start to take these small steps and really start to incorporate healthier foods, you start to feel better. You start to see the
mm,
positive results, and
mm.
just snowballs from there.
Yeah, I'm into the natural dopamine from cooking a healthy meal, going to the farmer's market, nourishing yourself with whole food ingredients, moving your body outside. All of these things are so good for you and so enjoyable when you realize what's actually going on inside of you when you're doing it.
Yeah, natural dopamine from getting together with friends and family and
Mhm.
making a meal, and and putting the phone away.
Yes.
I think that's just really really important. And spending time with those in your household or friends in your community around food.
Mhm,
It's the basis of life, and I think
mhm,
it's just super important to spend more time and focus on.
mhm. Yeah, breaking bread.
Yes.
Robbie, where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, we have our 7 cafes in Nashville and one in Atlanta. You can go to www.eandrose.com, and you can find us on Instagram at eandrosewellness. Um, and we'd love to have everyone through our cafes in Nashville or in Atlanta, and hopefully in a city wherever you are at some point.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks, Lauren. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Oh